Get ready, my soul. I'm driving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm driving in, deepest kind of love, to the deepest kind of love, the sweetest kind of life, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul. If this is my last song, if this is my final day, if tomorrow I'll be gone, what do I want to say? If this is my last song, if it's my time to go, when my body's moved on, what will I have to show? Oh, but fortune and fame, they scatter to the wind. The things that make a name just don't matter in the end. But is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and skies a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. If these are my last words for all of the earth to hear, if all that I have ever been is about to disappear, if these are my last words, there's nothing that I need to say. I have only tried to serve. It's never been about talking anyway. So much hurt there is to heal. It's hard to understand. All I can hope to feel is that I am doing what I can. Is the world a little more peaceful? Oceans and skies a little more blue? Is humankind a little bit wiser about the good that we can do? Does the sun shine a little bit brighter where before there was only rain? If so, then I'm glad I came. Have I given hope to the hopeless? Has a hungry soul been fed? Has a child stood a little bit taller 'cause of something that I said? Have I left a little kindness? Have I eased a little pain? If so, then I'm glad I came. for that. I'm so glad I came. If this is my last song, what do I leave behind? What do I pass on if I am out of time? Now, Laura mentioned a Silomar, which is an annual, essentially a camp or a retreat, a church camp. And I did not grow up going to church camp. I went up going to synagogue. But at some point early on when I had first arrived in LA to make a living making music, and I had stopped pretending to be a computer programmer, I was invited to sing at this Silomar thing, which is in a state park in Monterey, outside next to Pacific Grove. Very, very beautiful place. And my very first year there, this was about 1999, I think it was, there was a very cute little girl, maybe 8 or 9 or 10 or something, who approached me after I performed and said, "Can I help you sell CDs?" And I said, "Sure," not realizing, by the way, how very, very good it is for business to have an adorable little girl standing next to you selling CDs. It's very, sure, her hands were very sticky for money. It was great. Her name is Emily, and she would stand there and, harangue people walking by to buy my albums, and she was just adorable and very sweet and very helpful. And she also started peppering me with questions right away. How did you just do that? She watched me sing. How do you play piano and sing at the same time? And how do you make a CD? And where did the studio come from? And when did you write these songs? And what key are these songs in? And she would just ask a lot of questions. And of course, I'm going to answer these questions from an adorable little girl asking me questions about music. Bring them on. And then next year she was back, and then the year after that she was back. I did that gig. I did that conference. I think it was. It's a little blurry now, but I think 5 or 6 straight years. And it was a very fun, successful gig for me. I enjoyed it, and every year Emily was there to help me at my CD table, and every year she asked me all these questions. And fast forward just a few years from that, and I had finished writing and recording an album called Water, which has that song on it. And back in the day, it sounds like a very old thing to say, but back in the day, when I would make an album, I'd pre-sell a fair number of records. I've sold a fair number of records as an independent guy, and I would pre-sell albums, okay? So when an album would come out, I'd have an exciting and very expensive day at the post office, shipping however many pre-orders had been made. And when the Water album came out, it wasn't, we're not talking about, Taylor Swift sneezes and sells more records than me, in my lifetime. But and she deserves every penny. But for me, it was a couple thousand records pre-sold of the Water album, okay? When you make an album, as you can imagine, you don't actually know if it's any good. Like with anything, you take your best shot and you put it out there and let it go. Kind of, once it's in the mail, it's no longer yours in a very practical way. So I went to the post office and mailed all these albums, and went home and did my best to forget about it. And a week later, I got an email, and the email went something like, "Hey, Daniel, it's Emily. I don't know if you remember me, but I harassed you for years with a million questions about making music for a living and writing songs and performing, and you were always so nice to answer every question I had. I wanted you to know that I have just applied to college, and I'm going to major in music, and my goal is to make a living in music. And I just listened to your new album." I didn't realize one of those CDs went to her home. "I just listened to your new album, and I love it, But I wanted to let you know that if you're wondering if a child stands a little bit taller because of something that you said, the answer is yes. Love, Emily. Now, I bring that story up partly because it's really one of the loveliest things anyone's ever said to me, right? I mean, if you think about all the people who touched your life in a positive way, who would love to hear that they did, if I asked you, can you think of somebody who said something that built you up? They may not even remember saying it. Everybody thinking of something? I bet you are. Something somebody said, a teacher or a cousin or a parent or a friend. Lately, I've been thinking, I don't know why, it's entirely inappropriate and weird, but lately I've been thinking of Becky in, I'm pretty sure it was freshman in high school. I don't remember what hallway we were in, but I walked by Becky, who was an awesome kid, and she turned around as I passed her, and I'm assuming I was wearing my gym shorts, and she said, "Ooh, Dan, nice butt." And I still remember, this is like 1984. And I am the farthest thing from fishing for compliments about my current or past butt. But I will say, sorry for the pun, but I will say, and I'll bet some of you can relate, I know there are people in here who have always felt and or have actually always been beautiful and attractive to people, to yourself, to people. Not me. Right? So when I was 14, I had no fashion sense, I had horrible glasses, horrible hair, I didn't dress well. I'm a second-generation American. My parents they were poor growing up. My mom's mom made all of her clothes. My dad's mom didn't have a penny to her name, worked to the bone to support her two boys. They weren't fancy people. And therefore, really, neither were their sons, my brothers and me. And I never felt good looking. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't. It's okay. I survived, but I didn't feel good looking. When Becky said that, it was like the first time. I was like, really? I wouldn't put it past me to have actually looked in a mirror to see whether I agreed with her, because that would have been the first thought I'd ever had about my own butt. And certainly the first feeling I'd ever had that there was something attractive about me to somebody in high school. You know what I mean? One sentence can do a lot. And there's a feeling to giving that sentence to somebody, and there's a feeling to receiving it. And that feeling, I'm going to go ahead and say, is available almost every waking hour of every day. Like right now, I'm not daring you to, but right now you could turn to the person next to you, identify something about them that they thought nobody saw, and compliment it. And it might very well lock in for the rest of their lives. You and I do it. I know you all do it too. You walk by somebody in a grocery store wearing a beautiful dress or wearing cool glasses or whatever, and you just say, "Love those glasses," right? Right? Good. And you know how it feels when it comes at you, because you're being seen when you didn't know you were being seen, or complimented when you didn't know you looked any good, which many people walk around with all sorts of criticism. I mean, I don't know about you. When's the last time you looked in a mirror and thought nothing critical? I mean, the space in here is ugly when I look in a mirror. A lot of things go on between weight and age, and the hair's going away, and the belly gets bigger, and well, this hair is going away. This hair is getting very, I don't know why. I don't understand it. Why don't these hairs get the hint? I don't understand. They're not wanted. It's nothing personal. Anyway, so there's a feeling that's available. The feeling of loving or being loved. The feeling of being seen or seeing. That feeling is available. Now, why do I mention this? Why do I tell this random little story about Emily? A week or so before Christmas and Hanukkah, is that we call it a holiday, holy day, and we work extra. I don't know about you. Anybody spent a little extra money and had a longer to-do list than most, and spent a little extra time in grocery stores the last couple of weeks? Yeah, it's a lot, and we're all, many of us, most of us maybe, are kind of, we're headed towards something, or we're somewhere there's a gathering of people, a dance or a party or a family thing, or we're having it in our own house. And if you're like my wife, you're cleaning the baseboards, because that's definitely the first thing guests look at when they walk into the house, is to check the baseboards, right? So we do a lot of work and spending, and we send invitations or cards, and there's a lot. It's a lot at the holidays. Then there's also a lot of pressure, and I'm going to go ahead and say, for a lot of people, sublimated or subtle or unconscious or even conscious grief and sadness around holidays. It's not an uncomplicated month. If the holiday reminds you of somebody who's gone, or reminds you that you're about to have dinner with somebody you wish was gone, or, I'm sure you all adore everyone in your entire extended family, but, some people don't, and then there you are sitting at the table, and you're just kind of, great to see you again. Let's avoid every subject as for the next 2 hours. So it's not an uncomplicated time. And in fact, I'll just go ahead and say it's something that I think is worth saying, and I'm sure it's been said here already over the last few weeks. But if you're sitting there thinking, man, I'll bet most people in this room are having like a Hallmark holiday, and mine is filled with dread, spending money I don't have, buying toys for kids who never say thank you, whatever it is, having guests over, that is a huge upheaval. If you're feeling that sadness, and the holiday is just so closely associated with somebody you love whom you can't see anymore, you are the farthest thing from alone. And there is nothing strange or dysfunctional about having those feelings, because here we are, a holiday season, and it's all in our faces. Memories and family and money and commerce and religion, traditional religion. This clearly is not a room full of traditional religion followers. It just isn't. But raise your hand if you were raised in a traditional religion that would have a pretty strong opinion about how you're not going to be spending your Christmas. Right? We have that too. It's loaded. It is. It's loaded. So if you're feeling like it's loaded, welcome to a very big club. There's nothing shameful or wrong about that at all. And we keep these things secret, of course, but if any one of us spilled our guts to the rest of us, we would all realize how similar we all feel about a holiday or a season so rife with expectations. So the feeling that's available, as I said, that feeling that Emily was so kind to give me with that email, is a feeling that is available to you and me on any given day, which to me raises the question of what other feelings are available. What does the holiday, whichever holiday you're about to celebrate, what does a holiday actually mean to you? What's the feeling you're looking for? Can't wait till it's over? That's a feeling. Or can't wait to sit down at the table with your cousins who you never see. Or I grew up celebrating Hanukkah, and I love lighting the candles. I do. It's beautiful. I love the songs. I love the light reflected in the windows. The song we sing every year. Ma'osur Yeshuati L'chana Elishabeach Tikon Beit Tefilati L'sham Toda Nizabeach Li'e Tachin Matbeach Mitzuram Nabeach Azek Mor Beshir Mizmor Chanukas HaMizbeach Azek Mor Beshir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach. That song is centuries old. That's all right. My parents are 83 and 82. I know they would certainly want to outlive their kids and their grandkids, and if they do, they would. What did I just say? Say the reverse. They would certainly not want to outlive any of their children or grandchildren, and if they don't, then that song, it already moves me every year, but it'll take on a whole nother level of feeling when they're gone, because I can picture us as boys standing in front of a window singing that song. It moves me every year to sing. So what feeling am I getting from that song? It's not a song, it's a feeling. It's just like the smell of, if I asked you a smell that transports you, right? Smells are powerful that way. What smell transports you to something or someone you just love? Can you think of something? Right? So it's not the smell anymore, it's the feeling behind it. And the feelings that a holiday means are, in fact, available. It doesn't, like the dread and the worry and the stress, the hesitation, the expense, the complication, all of that is window dressing on a feeling that you and I are looking for. So what feeling are you looking for over the next couple of weeks? You're looking for a feeling of something sacred, something safe. You're looking for a feeling of home. Are you looking for a crystal clear memory and like a re-experiencing of somebody who is gone, who you miss? You're looking to recreate a childhood feeling, or forget a childhood feeling, rewrite a story? The beautiful thing, and I really mean this, is the feeling you're looking for is available to you. It is. Yeah, we got to handle the trappings and the busyness. We got to make the plans. But there can be a moment. You might have to disappear from the crowd to have this moment, or you can have this moment anywhere, depending on how clear your mind is and how conscious you are and aware you are at any given moment. I am the farthest thing from conscious and aware most moments. My head's a mess. But when I do manage to get clear, then I can drop into here instead of here, and I can remember what I'm really doing. What are you really doing when you decorate a tree? What's that tree really about? Is this building just a building? Is December 25th just an opportunity to eat, or to give gifts or to receive them? There's a feeling underneath it. And the closer to conscious we can keep that feeling, the more likely and realistic it is that you'll have that feeling. One of my favorite movies that I think nobody's ever seen, as far as I can tell, is this movie, Paul Rudd and Reese Witherspoon, called How Do You Know? I think a big part of the problem with the movie is that the title is so bland. I sometimes can't even remember the title. I'm pretty sure it's called How Do You Know? And it's really a lovely movie, and there's a lot of wisdom in the script. And there's a moment where Reese Witherspoon approaches a therapist, and she is an athlete, a type A personality athlete who thinks that therapy is for wimps. But she manages to go to a session, and she sits down, and 5 seconds later, she stands up and she says, "Never mind, this is stupid. I'm not going to do therapy." And the therapist's like, "Okay, all right." And she says, "Okay, actually, I have one question before I go. Is there any advice you would give to anybody in any situation?" And he says, "Yeah. Figure out what you want and learn how to ask for it." So, what feeling are you asking for this holiday? It's yours for the making. As usual, I have more songs and more stories than I even remotely have time for. But I thought I would sing this song for you today. It was in case it's helpful for somebody here over the next week or two. It sounds trite to say that we're all doing the best we can, but it is actually true. If you think about the mistakes that you have made, did you make them out of malice, or did you make them out of their best available information and your best capacity to cope and your best understanding of your own feelings and reactions at the time? Were you doing the best you could? I don't mean it as a free pass, and I certainly don't ever mean it to diminish abusive behavior. But for most of us, most of the time, we are actually doing the best we can. I have a secret, a little trick that I use sometimes when I'm with somebody who I just can't manage to like. Loving, I feel like loving is easier than liking, don't you? In a way, I mean, there's a generic love that I can summon for most people. Liking is harder. And when I'm having an especially hard time liking somebody, I'll sometimes picture them, or try to picture them as a baby. Most people really do look like they did when they were babies. If you look for a baby face in somebody's face, you're going to find one. And it gets a lot, I'll say, either harder to dislike or a lot easier to at least feel a shred of affection, of endearment for a baby, especially since you and I really are just kids with bigger skin. We really are just doing the best we can. We're modeling our own behavior after the grown-ups who modeled grown-upness to us. And they did it themselves with the generations before them. We're all really just doing the best we can. And so if you're encountering somebody who you have a hard time respecting or liking, or if you're encountering behavior of your own that you're having a hard time respecting or liking, this is a song that was written when I had a conversation with a friend who I thought I knew, who I thought was impressive and talented and nice and generous and funny and fun. I thought she was a winner. Then she told me where she came from. And where she came from was one of those childhoods you wouldn't wish on anybody. abuse and being orphaned and being adopted into another abusive family, leaving home as early as she could, as young as she could, never going back. And as she's telling me this background, I'm thinking, my God, I grossly underestimated you. I thought you were awesome. Turns out I'm sitting with somebody of spectacular perseverance and guts and strength. Almost all of it hidden. I just thought you were awesome. I didn't know what you were really made of. And the same is true for everyone in this room. It's not a pandering thing to say. We are all doing the best we can, and if we were to rewind the tape on anyone's life in this room, every one of us has a moment that would break the rest of our hearts. We have all been through one ringer or another. And the same is going to be true for all the people you're sitting with at the holidays. Family and friends, there's that one person you wish wasn't there. And again, this is never to forgive. Not to forgive, but to understand just a little bit more someone's behavior. And it also, by the way, extends to the person doing the job that we pay the least attention to. What job do you pay the least attention to somebody doing? There's, for me, there's the most invisible, one of the most invisible jobs I always think of is the person cleaning up an airport bathroom. That's an invisible job. You always, when you see somebody cleaning an airport bathroom, they're never making eye contact, they're sneaking in, they're sneaking out. It's a horrible job to me, it's gross and it's thankless. And not to sound heroic, but my little attempt at doing what Emily did for me, my little attempt is when I see someone cleaning an airport bathroom, I try to make eye contact and say thank you, because that's a job you don't get thanked for. But even more than it being a thankless job and a hard job, the person doing that job, the person auditing you, the person cutting you off on the highway, if you were to know their story, the place they've arrived at might very well, would even probably look far more impressive than you or I would give them credit for on the surface. A first-generation American making his or her way into employment at an airport, that's not easy to do. Count the number of steps from not speaking English in a faraway country to mopping floors in an airport bathroom, and all of a sudden, you're not looking at somebody just mopping a floor. You're looking at somebody of spectacular courage. Somebody who left everything they knew to stand in throngs of people, none of whom speak your language, none of whom know your name. I mean, it's impressive from that perspective. And there's a lot of love to be felt. To talk about the love that we look for at Christmas and Hanukkah, the love we look for in the holidays, that love feeling is available. And it just takes something, as I say, I'm a hypocrite. I mean, I almost never take those extra 10 seconds. But when I do, I realize who I'm in the presence of, and I feel it in a beautiful way. I feel it. And that feeling, that holiday feeling, that's the one I'm looking for, is connection with humanity, a little bit of peace, a little bit of kindness, a little extra. That feeling is available. That's, for me, what I want the holidays to feel like. Here's a song I wrote about that friend. I've never understood how you turned out so good with all that you've had to endure. No one expected you to make the best of you. The deck stacked against you, for sure. The more that I learn, the more I admire how you never got burned being forged in the fire. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now. with a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, only muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine. You never talk about when you first figured out that you'd have to go it alone. It breaks my heart to picture you, a child hiding out of view, so young to fight on your own. But still here you stand, still here you are, igniting the world with your luminous heart. Yeah, an ordinary mortal would have quit by now, with a life like a field full of mines. You're human, I know, the only muscle and bone, but you must have steel in your spine, and that would explain how you never admit any pain. So let me just say that child has a lot to be proud of, and no longer needs to keep the world at bay. If you were mortal, you'd have quit by now. You've been counted out so many times. You're human like me. You can bruise, you can bleed, but you must have steel in your spine. Yeah, a mortal would have quit by now, but your light was determined to shine. There's so much more than they see. A superhero to me. You must have steel in your spine. You must have steel in your spine. Thank you.